So before we begin, there's something that you have to understand. Years ago, my father and his brothers used to tell my grandmother the absolute craziest stories. And my mother would sit there and think, how can this woman believe these crazy stories? Is she really that gullible? She just couldn't figure out how someone could fall for these stories. Well, let me tell you something. When I was in college, I worked at a seafood store. I love lobster. Love it. So when I got the job at the seafood store, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me to maybe buy some lobster, maybe get some cooked lobster, maybe eat lobster for free. Anything. Never happened. Never happened. I did whatever disgusting job they wanted me to do. Cleaning up fish guts, cooking crabs, hauling away the trash, anything. Occasionally I got to cook the shrimp. Occasionally I got to cook the crabs. Occasionally I get free crab, which made it really good. Horrible boss. Cleaning up fish guts? Yes. Free lobster? No way. Absolutely not. So, why am I telling you this? Because I would come home every day and just stink. It was awful. I wasn't allowed to do anything unless I came home, changed my clothes, showered right away, and then I could come downstairs and watch TV in front of my family. And someone had to drive me back and forth half the time because we only had a few cars. If the cars were being used, I'd have to get a ride. This one day, I go into work, and there's about 3 or 4 cases of lobster. Each case had about 25 lobsters in it, and my boss said, "Hey, Paul, go weigh the lobsters." So I did. I went and I weighed the lobsters. There was, open up a case, take out the lobsters, put them in a bin, take them over to the scale, weigh them. Did that 3 or 4 times, however many cases there were. This one time, as I'm carrying the case slips, scratches my arm, right there, right on my forearm. I scratched my forearm. I come home from work and I'm stinking. My mom drives me home and she's sitting there in her car.
"You stink. When we get home, you are taking a shower."
I came home, I got undressed, I went upstairs, I took a shower. Then I came downstairs and started talking to my mom. And my mom asked me,
"What did you do all day?"
so I told her my boss wanted me to weigh the lobster.
"Oh my gosh, that must have been so fun for you. You love lobster."
My mom showed that she was really interested. And she's not really all that interested in my job because it was kind of boring and kind of disgusting. I'd shoveling fish guts and cleaning up after the mess and sweeping up the floors and doing all sorts of horrible other stuff, and then coming home stinking like dead seafood. I mean, it was just disgusting. So I told her, well, I weighed the lobster today, and she got all excited. And so I decided maybe I can make this story a little bit more interesting. And I told her, I'd open up a crate, and there'd be 25 lobsters in there, and I put them in a bin, and I go and I weigh the bin to make sure that there's 25 pounds of lobster. And then this one time when I opened up one of the bins, I only see 1 lobster, and it's like huge. It's a huge lobster. It's like 25 pounds. And that's when my mom was like,
"A 25-pound lobster? Oh my gosh!"
and I said, yeah, it was huge. And there was like these rubber bands on them to hold the claws shut, and they were like stretching out. And I picked up the lobster, and I said to my boss, "Hey, what do you want me to do with this giant lobster?" And my boss tells me, "Go put that in the big tank. That's for a special customer, and he's got a lot of money, and he's going to pay a lot of money for that lobster." So I did. Except when I was walking over there, the lobster opened up one of its claws, and it grabbed me on the arm. And look, I got scratches right here. Oh my gosh, what did you do? I screamed, and my boss comes over, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to take the rubber bands off those lobsters." And I'm like, "I know I'm not supposed to take the rubber bands off, but it's stuck to my arm. Get it off of me. Get it off of me." My boss comes over, and he's starting to help me out and trying to wrestle the claw off the lobster. And I was just, standing there screaming because it was hurting a lot. And then all of a sudden, it opens up its other claw, and that rubber band snaps off, and it grabs my boss's arm. And now we're both standing there screaming, get this thing off of me. It's got me. Help, help, help.
And then what happened?
We didn't know what to do. And then other people started coming up, and they're trying to help me out.
"Did you get it off? Did you ever get it off?"
Well, on the countertop, we have these little wooden hammers and little ice picks and little nutcrackers so that when you're cooking crabs and lobsters, you can break them apart and eat them. And this customer grabs an ice pick, takes the ice pick, and he walks up to the lobster and he stabs it right in the chest. And the lobster just opened up its claws and dropped to the floor, and it was dead. And that's when my boss was like, "Hey, dude, that was a special order. That lobster was worth a whole lot of money. Now what am I going to tell that customer?" And then he's like, "You owe me some money. You got to pay for this lobster." The guy just looks at him with this unbelievable look, takes out a bunch of money, puts it on the counter, walks out of the store. Doesn't even take the lobster with him. At that point, the story was over, and my mom was like, just sitting there. And I said, "What do you think?" And that's when she said,
I can't believe it. I absolutely can't believe it.
and then I thought, well, it was kind of a stupid story, and I made it all up. Oh, well. And my mom said,
I can't believe your boss would be so cruel to make a customer pay after saving your life. He's a horrible boss. What's wrong with him?
and I was like, oh my gosh, she believed the whole thing. I can't believe she believed this whole story. It's like absolutely crazy. But she believed it. So I busted out laughing. I got tears rolling down my eyes, like laughing really hard. And she's like,
It's not funny, Paul. It's absolutely not funny. You shouldn't be laughing. Your boss is a horrible, horrible person. What is wrong with him? You shouldn't work there anymore. You should quit.
and I just looked at my mom and I said, "Mom, the story was completely made up. I made up the whole thing. It's absolutely untrue. There was no 25-pound lobster. It never grabbed me. I'm not hurt. Everything's fine. The customer didn't kill a lobster. Everything's good. There was no money. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's a made-up story."
Well, how did you get the scratches on your arm?
Well, I was actually weighing lobsters, and I put them in a bin, like I told you in the beginning. And when I was going to move the bin, it slipped, and I scratched up my arm. It's just minor scratches. No big deal.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I fell for the whole thing. I know exactly how your grandmother feels now.
Find more stories in my book, The Things That Never Happened and a Few of Them That Did. Link available in the description.
Don't believe a word he tells you. Everything he says is a lie.
Not everything in the book is a lie, Mom. Most of it's true.